Yo, what's up everyone, this is Kaizouwar here. So, as the title of the video suggests, should BlazBlue Entropy Effect come to consoles? Yes. But for real though, BlazBlue Entropy Effect definitely should come to consoles, and I do have a lot of reasons why. Because this game was locked to Steam, it was on early access, and now it's a full-fledged release that you can purchase for $20 with additional purchases coming in the form of DLC characters and other things as well. Now, obviously not everyone has Steam, not everyone's going to use Steam, and a lot of people do play games on consoles, so it only makes sense that Entropy Effect will be there on as well. Now, there has been rumors from fans on Twitter that the game will get console support eventually. I think my understanding of this was, okay, the game was going to be on Steam and it was going to be ported to mobile, and that obviously that's going to be on console later. I don't know. This is all stuff I've heard from fans. I haven't heard anything from 91 Act in regards of a console port or not. I'm not too deep into the roots of BlazBlue Entropy Effect development to know about this stuff, so I can't really talk about it. So the only thing I could really say is for what I heard from other people. But if a console port is coming, then this video is kind of moot because it's going to come anyway. But should it come to consoles? Duh, yes. Now, one thing is, BlazBlue Entropy Effect sold 1 million units on Steam. It is the best-selling BlazBlue game at this point, and it's very positively received, because BlazBlue games don't really sell that well. From my understanding, BlazBlue Calamity Trigger was the only game in the series that kind of cracked, like went above and beyond due to its sales, and arguably that's mostly due to the fact that it came out around the time the fighting game boom was happening with Street Fighter 4. So of course, BlazBlue Calamity Trigger being within that space, that timing gave it a big leg up in regards to sales. It gave a lot of eyes onto BlazBlue, and of course, Calamity Trigger sold a lot of copies. Now, Entropy Effect selling this much out the gate, well, not really out the gate, but more like it sold a lot. It's been out for a year, and it sold a lot. 1 million is nothing to sniff at, really. And the fact that the game's pretty cheap to get into, the fact that even though BlazBlue is basically kind of like a skin over the game's a good roguelike game, but the BlazBlue elements don't really affect it either way outside of like gameplay purposes. You're not really going to get any BlazBlue lore into this. You're not going to get much of the story in regards of BlazBlue into this game. So it's basically BlazBlue name only. And I think that in turn hurts and helps the game. It helps it in a way where, like, you can get to the game, you can access it without having to know anything about BlazBlue prior. Technically, you can always play the BlazBlue fighting games without knowing anything about BlazBlue, but this is a whole different genre, a whole different type of thing. People going into fighting games don't really go in it for the story. We've already known that so far. And I don't know how many roguelike fans get into it for the story for those roguelike games, if they even have one. But I am confident to say that, yeah, a lot of people play roguelikes just for the gameplay. And BlazBlue Entropy Effect, without having so much lore and stuff tied to the BlazBlue characters that's not present in this game, is a good way for people to play Entropy Effect without knowing anything about BlazBlue prior. It also, and I mean by hurting the game, is that, like, it doesn't really feel like a BlazBlue game. But considering Entropy Effect is made by a completely different studio, developed by that studio, published by that studio, and it's just BlazBlue name only, I could kind of just push it away and to just be its own thing. There's been a bunch of BlazBlue games, side games, that just been their own little thing, There was a DSiWare game, there was a 3DS, the 3DS game. There's Eat, Beat, Dead Spike Sign. That stuff doesn't require BlazBlue knowledge at all, really. You don't need to know anything about BlazBlue to play those games if you want to, right? And I think Entropy Effect being the only good one out of those side games is actually a good thing. And on top of that, the mobile port is coming up with a free option to buy the characters as a way to leveling the playing field for people to already bought stuff on Steam, because the Steam is a purchase you have to make. On Steam, it started as early access, but for now you gotta give it 20 bucks as its base game. When the mobile port comes out, it will be free. So that's a way of getting more people in and stuff like that, and I get why. Now, if the game comes to consoles, I don't think it's going to be free to play. I think if this model on mobile does well, it may come to Steam. It may come to consoles free to play, and then they'll just add the option to buy the characters outright in case you want to get the characters without having to buy the full game, stuff like that. Don't know. But I feel like the way to make it free to play and then having to be able to buy the characters and stuff like that would be a way to pull in more people to play for free, and if they like the game enough, they'll have the option to buy the characters and stuff like that, and I think that's a good idea. And I've been seeing a lot of people clamor for a console port, me included, because it just makes total sense. Because this is a game people want to play. A lot of people, again, don't play Steam. Some people just don't have access to it. And a lot of people just don't want to play the game on their phones, which is fair enough, right? Even though it has control support, even though it's going to have all this stuff to it, I can understand why people don't want to play on their phone. They want to play on a medium. They're able to get the fullest out of it. And if they don't have a good PC, if they don't have like, you know, a phone that could run the game, or they don't want to run the game because maybe it'll take up too much space or whatever, they have the ability to play on their consoles. And I see why they would want to do that. Now, I am clamoring for a console port. I don't know how they will monetize it. I don't know if it'll be like exactly the same as the Steam version. I don't know if it's gonna be like the mobile version where it's free to play and then you just have the option to buy the characters and stuff like that. Don't know. But I would like just the game on consoles anyway. And if the rumors are to be believed, then we're gonna get it sooner than later, which I hope so. Because I know the game's already, you know, well received. It's very positive on Steam. The game isn't demanding, and since the game's coming to mobile, there's no way it can be that demanding, right? So the game's coming to mobile. It's adopting a free-to-play strategy where you can just buy the characters, you can play the normal game that way, and then it'll probably come to consoles, and we'll just see how it goes from there. But to answer the question, I've made this video to start off with, yes, the game definitely should come to consoles. Because I just feel like it will grab a lot. Technically, I feel like the mobile port would grab a lot more people that way. But again, more people want to play the game on their consoles rather than mobile. That's my personal opinion. But then again, there's a lot of people who play games on mobile anyway. So yeah, it's not really, it's kind of like a little even 50-50 kind of thing, you know? Like, it doesn't really matter. The point is to get the game to more people. The whole point of this is to spread the game to more people. This positive received game that people already like, to get it out to more people in a fashion that they would want to play it in. That way, BlazBlue Entropy Effect could be on more platforms that people could play it on. Now, as for those platforms, it would only make sense for, you know, the game to have a PS4 version, PS5, PS4 version. I don't think it really matters which one. They could just be a PS4 version because you just play PS4 games on your PS5. But a lot of games just do a PS4/PS5 version anyway, so that's one option right there. Next option is Switch and Switch 2. Now, again, that could be an awesome option. I don't know how different a Switch and Switch 2 version would be for Entropy Effect of all things. But again, that's also an option as well. I feel like going any further might be pushing it, like Xbox. I highly doubt this game will be on Xbox. I don't see it ever happening at all. But BlazBlue games have historically been on Xbox consoles. I think the only exception to that, like a major BlazBlue release that's not on Xbox, is BlazBlue Central Fiction. So there's that. But I don't see it getting on Xbox. At best, I just see PS4, PS5, Switch, and Switch 2, and that's about it. And also with the inclusion of Steam, because why not? And that's about it. It's also Steam Deck verified, and that's just attached to Steam anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter why I said that. But yeah, Entropy Effect should come to consoles. I'm sure it will eventually. We don't know when, but I'm just glad that, you know, it's getting to more people through the mobile version, and if it gets to people with the console version, that's even better, because I definitely want to play it on my PS5. I would love that.